The council chamber was bigger than any building Han Jiwoo had ever seen on Earth. It stretched so far in every direction that she could not see the walls. Above her head, a dome of pure energy showed the stars outside. Below her feet, the floor was made of something that looked like glass but felt solid as steel. Around her sat the representatives of 847 alien species. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange that Jiwoo's brain hurt, trying to understand their shapes. There were beings made of light, creatures that floated in tanks of colored gas, and things that seemed to exist in more dimensions than she could see. Jiwoo wore a simple black suit. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun. She carried no weapons, no technology beyond a basic translator device in her ear. Next to her sat Park Min-ho, a stern man with gray at his temples who served as Earth's military attaché. On her other side was Lee Yuna, a young woman with sharp eyes who handled communications. They were the only three humans in a room with thousands of aliens. Ambassador Velthar stood at the center podium. He was tall, with blue skin and 4 arms. His species, the Centauri, had been spacefaring for over 10,000 years. When he spoke, his voice filled the enormous chamber. "We gathered today for a historic moment," Velthar said. His tone was smooth, almost musical. Humanity, the newest species to reach the stars, has been offered membership in the Eternal Accord. This treaty has brought peace to our galaxy for 3,000 years. 847 civilizations have signed it. Today, humanity will become the 848th. The aliens around the chamber made sounds of approval. Some clapped with hands, others clicked with mandibles, and some created harmonics that Jiwoo felt in her chest. Velthar looked directly at Jiwoo. "Ambassador Han, please step forward to sign on behalf of your world." Jiwoo stood slowly. She could feel thousands of eyes, sensors, and other perception organs focused on her. Her hands were steady, but her heart pounded. She had spent 3 weeks reading the treaty document. It was over 4,000 pages long, written in galactic standard language that her translator struggled to interpret clearly. She walked to the podium. The treaty document appeared in the air before her, glowing with soft light. All she had to do was touch it with her palm, and Earth would be bound by its terms forever. "Ambassador Han?" Velthar prompted. There was impatience in his voice now. Jiwoo turned to face the assembled aliens. "I have questions about the treaty." A ripple of surprise moved through the chamber. Velthar's expression remained pleasant, but his eyes hardened. "Of course, though I assure you, every clause has been carefully crafted over millennia. All concerns have been addressed in previous Section 47, Paragraph 12, Jiwoo interrupted. Her voice was clear and strong. "It states that member worlds must submit to Council authority in matters of critical importance." "Who defines what is critical?" Velthar waved a hand dismissively. "The Council, naturally. We have vast experience in such matters." Section 103, Jiwoo continued. "Member worlds agree to mandatory resource sharing as determined by the Council Economic Authority." "Does this mean the Council can take our resources without our consent?" "It means resources are distributed fairly across the galaxy," Velthar said. His pleasant tone was fading. "Surely even humanity understands the value of cooperation." Behind Jiwoo, Park Min-ho tensed. She could feel his warning look on her back. They had discussed this. The other human delegates, including the veteran, Ambassador Kim Sang-woo, had made it clear. Sign the treaty. Don't make waves. Humanity was weak, new, and vulnerable. They needed the protection and technology the Council offered, but Jiwoo had found something in the treaty that made her blood run cold. "Section 209, she said quietly. "Member species agree to genetic optimization programs as recommended by the Council Health Directorate. Section 222, member species agree to population relocation when deemed necessary for galactic stability. Section 315, member species agree that cultural practices may be modified or eliminated if they conflict with Council efficiency standards." The chamber had gone silent. Even the ambient sounds of alien breathing and machinery seemed to fade. "What you are describing," Jiwoo said, her voice ringing out, "is not a peace treaty. It is a surrender document. You are asking humanity to give up our sovereignty, our right to control our own genetics, our own population, our own culture. You are asking us to become subjects, not members. Velthar's blue skin darkened to purple. You misunderstand the nuances of galactic law. These provisions exist for the greater good. They have brought peace. Peace, Jiwoo said, or control. A massive creature in the front row leaned forward. It looked like a mountain of stone with dozens of eyes. When it spoke, the translation device struggled with its deep, rumbling voice. The human is ignorant. She does not understand what we offer. Protection from the dangers of space. Technology that will advance her species by thousands of years. An end to war and suffering. At what cost? Jiwoo asked, turning to face the creature. If we must stop being human to gain these things, what have we really gained? Lee Yuna stood up beside Park Min-ho. She whispered urgently into a communication device. Jiwoo knew she was contacting Earth, sending word of what was happening. The president and the other leaders needed to know. Velthar stepped closer to Jiwoo. Ambassador Han, I urge you to reconsider. Humanity is alone in a dangerous galaxy. You have been spacefaring for barely 200 years. You have no allies, no advanced weapons, no real understanding of the threats that exist out here in the dark. Without the Council's protection, your species will not survive another century. Is that a threat? Park Min-ho asked, standing as well. It is a fact, Velthar said coldly. Sign the treaty, Ambassador Han, for your species' sake. Jiwoo looked at the glowing document floating before her. She thought about Earth, about the billions of humans who had no idea this moment was happening. She thought about her grandmother who had survived war and famine but never lost her dignity. She thought about what humanity had endured and overcome in its long history. They had faced extinction before. Ice ages, plagues, wars, disasters. They had survived because they adapted, because they were stubborn, because they refused to give up who they were. She thought about the other species in this chamber. 847 civilizations. Had they all truly agreed to these terms willingly? Or had they too been told they had no choice? Jiwoo took a deep breath. She raised her eyes to meet Velthar's gaze. No, she said. The single word echoed in the vast chamber. For a moment, no one moved. No one made a sound. Then the chamber erupted. Aliens rose from their seats, shouting in hundreds of languages. The translation device in Jiwoo's ear went haywire, trying to interpret the chaos. She heard words like insane, foolish, suicide. Mixed with other words her device couldn't translate at all. Velthar's face had gone completely purple. You refuse? I refuse, Jiwoo said firmly. Earth refuses. You speak for your entire world? Another alien shouted from the crowd. I speak for human dignity, Jiwoo replied. I will let my people decide if I spoke correctly. Velthar raised all four arms for silence. Gradually the chamber quieted. When he spoke again, his voice was ice cold. Very well, Ambassador Han. The Council will give humanity 30 days to reconsider this foolish decision. 30 days to consult with your people, to truly understand what you are rejecting. At the end of that time, if Earth still refuses to sign the Eternal Accord, there will be consequences. What kind of consequences? Park Min-ho demanded. Velthar smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Isolation from galactic trade, exclusion from Council protection zones, and perhaps if your species proves to be a threat to galactic stability in your isolation, more direct interventions may be necessary. He turned away from Jiwoo, addressing the entire chamber. This session is concluded. Humanity has been offered the greatest gift in the galaxy and has chosen to spit on it. Let the record show their ingratitude and foolishness. As the aliens began to file out of the chamber, many of them looked at Jiwoo with expressions she couldn't interpret. Some seemed angry. Others appeared confused. A few, she thought, looked almost impressed. Lee Yuna grabbed Jiwoo's arm. We need to get you to the ship now. I'm getting reports that some council members are calling for your immediate arrest. Park Min-ho moved to Jiwoo's other side, his hand near his weapon. This way, quickly. As they rushed toward the exit, Jiwoo glanced back at the podium. The glowing treaty document still floated there, waiting for a signature that would never come. She had just said no to the entire galaxy. Earth had 30 days to decide if she had made the right choice. The shuttle ride back to Earth took 3 days. For 3 days, Han Jiwoo sat in silence while the galaxy exploded with news of what she had done. Lee Yuna monitored the communications channels, her face growing more worried with each hour. "It's everywhere," Yuna said on the second day. "Every species is talking about it. Some are calling you the bravest human alive. Others are calling you a fool who will destroy Earth." Park Min-ho cleaned his weapon for the 10th time, a nervous habit he had developed in his military years. "What are they saying on Earth?" "Everything," Yuna replied. "Half the planet wants to give her a medal. The other half wants to arrest her for treason." Jiwoo stared out the window at the stars. She had not slept much. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Velthar's face, heard his cold voice promising consequences. Had she made the right choice? She kept asking herself that question. When the shuttle finally entered Earth's atmosphere, Jiwoo expected to see military ships waiting to escort them to prison. Instead, she saw something else entirely. Crowds. Thousands of people gathered at the landing site in Seoul. They held signs and banners. Some read "Jiwoo the Brave" and "Earth Stands Free." Others read "Sign the Treaty" and "Don't Doom Us All." The shuttle landed with a soft thump. Security officers rushed forward to create a barrier between Jiwoo and the crowds. She could hear them chanting her name, both in praise and anger. "This way, Ambassador," a security officer said, leading them to an armored vehicle. They drove through Seoul's streets. More crowds lined the roads. Jiwoo saw young people cheering, old people shaking their heads, children waving flags with Earth's symbol on them. The planet had never been so divided. The vehicle took them directly to the presidential palace. President Choi Dae-sung waited in his office, a tall man with tired eyes and gray hair. He looked like he had not slept either. "Ambassador Han," he said. "Please sit." Jiwoo sat. Park Min-ho and Lee Yuna stood behind her. President Choi folded his hands on his desk. "You have created quite a situation." "I'm sorry, Mr. President," Jiwoo said, "but I could not sign that treaty in good conscience." "Could not? Or would not?" The president's voice was not angry, just curious. "Both, sir. The treaty would destroy us. Maybe not today, maybe not in our lifetimes, but eventually, we would stop being human. We would become whatever the council wants us to be." The president nodded slowly. "I have read the treaty. My advisors have analyzed it. Some agree with you. Others say you are overreacting, that the concerning clauses would never be enforced against us. Can we risk that?" Jiwoo asked. "Can we bet our entire species on the hope that the council will be kind?" Before the president could answer, an aide burst into the room. "Sir, the council has made their first move. They have cut off all trade with Earth. No alien ships are allowed to approach our system. They have also frozen all our accounts in galactic banks and revoked our access to the shared technology network." President Choi closed his eyes for a moment. "How long can we survive without galactic trade?" 18 months, the aide said. "Maybe 2 years if we ration carefully. But our colonies on Mars and the outer planets will suffer much sooner. They depend on supplies from Earth and imports from Council space. And the other human colonies? The ones beyond our solar system?" The aide's face was grim. "The Council is offering them a choice. Renounce Earth and sign the treaty individually or be cut off as well." Jiwoo felt her stomach drop. There were human settlements on 6 planets outside the solar system. Thousands of people who had left Earth to build new lives among the stars. She had just put all of them in danger. "What are the colonies saying?" she asked. "Mars has already responded," the aide said. "Governor Lee Tae-won sent a message to the council. He said, and I quote, 'We are human. We stand with Earth. Do your worst.'" Despite everything, Jiwoo felt a spark of hope. Mars stood with them. President Choi stood and walked to the window. "I am calling for a global referendum. Every human old enough to vote will have a say. We will decide together whether to accept your decision or overturn it and sign the treaty." "When?" Park Min-ho asked. 2 weeks. That gives us time to present both sides fairly. The people need to understand what is at stake." "The council gave us 30 days, Jiwoo said. "Then we will have our answer with time to spare," the president replied. He turned to face her. "Ambassador Han, you will present the case for refusing the treaty. Ambassador Kim Sang-woo will present the case for signing it. The world will watch and decide." Over the next 2 weeks, Earth became a planet of debate. Every television channel, every internet forum, every street corner hosted arguments about the treaty. Ambassador Kim Sang-woo was an older man who had served Earth's diplomatic corps for 40 years. He spoke passionately about the benefits of joining the Council. We will gain technology that can cure diseases, end hunger, and extend human life by centuries. We will be protected from hostile alien species. We will be part of something larger than ourselves. When it was Jiwoo's turn, she brought Dr. Yoon Ji-hye to help her. Dr. Yoon was a xenobiologist who had spent years studying alien cultures. She was a small woman with sharp intelligence and no patience for lies. "Look at this data," Dr. Yoon said, displaying images on screens worldwide. "These are 3 species that joined the Council 500 years ago. This is what they looked like then. This is what they look like now." The images showed a shocking transformation. The aliens had been diverse with unique features and cultural markers. 500 years later, they all looked similar. Their clothing was identical. Their cities were built in the same style. Even their languages had merged into standard galactic speech. "The Council does not just want peace," Dr. Yoon said. "It wants conformity. It wants every species to be the same, because that is easier to control." The treaty clauses that Ambassador Han identified are not theoretical. They are actively used. Species that join the Council lose their identity within a few generations. "But we will be safe," Ambassador Kim Sang-woo argued. "Is safety not worth the price?" A young woman named Bae Min-seo became the voice of Earth's youth. She was a student activist who organized massive rallies in support of Jiwoo's decision. "Our ancestors did not survive by being safe," she said in a speech that was viewed by billions. "They survived by being human, by adapting, by fighting, by refusing to give up. If we trade our humanity for safety, we have already lost." The debate raged on. Families argued at dinner tables. Friends stopped speaking to each other. The world had never been so divided. Park Min-ho worked with military leaders to assess Earth's defenses. His report was not encouraging. "If the Council attacks, we will lose. Our technology is centuries behind theirs. Our ships are slower, our weapons weaker, our shields inferior." "Then why present this information?" President Choi asked. "It will scare people into signing the treaty." "Because they need the truth," Min-ho said. "But there is more to the truth. Yes, we will lose a war, but we can make it very costly for them. Humans are good at guerrilla warfare. We are creative, stubborn, and we know how to fight when cornered. We might not win, but we can make them regret attacking us." His words spread across Earth. The military began preparing, not for victory but for resistance. As the vote approached, polling showed the planet was split almost evenly. 48% wanted to sign the treaty. 47% wanted to refuse. 5% were undecided. The night before the vote, Jiwoo could not sleep. She walked through Seoul's streets wearing a hood to hide her face. She saw the campaign posters on every wall. Her face was on half of them, some painted as a hero, others as a villain. She stopped at a small restaurant and ordered tea. An old woman served her, then sat down across from her. "You are her, aren't you?" the old woman said. "The ambassador." Jiwoo nodded slowly. "My grandson wants to vote to refuse the treaty. He says we must be free. My granddaughter wants to sign it. She says we must be safe. They are fighting because of you." "I am sorry," Jiwoo said. The old woman shook her head. "Do not be sorry. This is what democracy looks like, messy, painful, but honest." She poured more tea. "I lived through the resource wars. I saw what humans do to each other when we are afraid. But I also saw what we do when we are brave. I will vote to refuse the treaty." "Why?" Jiwoo asked. "Because I did not survive 80 years on this earth just to become something else," the old woman said simply. The vote took place the next day. Every screen on Earth displayed the results as they came in. Jiwoo watched from the presidential palace with President Choi, Park Min-ho, Lee Yuna, and dozens of other officials. The numbers climbed slowly. 49% to refuse, 48% to sign, then 50% to refuse, 49% to sign. It took 6 hours for all the votes to be counted. When the final number appeared, the room went silent. 54% had voted to refuse the treaty. 46% had voted to sign. President Choi stood and walked to the broadcast podium. The entire galaxy would hear his next words. "People of Earth," he said, "the votes have been counted. By democratic decision, humanity has chosen to refuse the Eternal Accord. We understand the risks. We accept the consequences. But we will not surrender who we are, not even for safety. He turned to face the camera that would broadcast to the Council. To the species of the galaxy, we say this: humanity seeks peace. The blockade began exactly 31 days after Han Ji-woo refused to sign the treaty. General Kang Hyejin stood on the command deck of Earth's orbital defense station, watching the Council fleet arrive. 200 ships appeared at the edge of the solar system, each one larger and more advanced than anything humanity had ever built. They are establishing a perimeter, reported Captain Shin Jun-ho, a young officer whose calm voice betrayed none of the fear he must be feeling. No ships in or out. They mean to choke us slowly. Kang Hyejin was a woman in her 50s with short gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. She had fought in 3 wars on Earth before humanity reached the stars. She had hoped never to see war again. But here it was, coming from the heavens instead of across borders. Status of our defenses? She asked. All orbital platforms are armed and ready. The lunar base has locked weapons on the nearest Council ships. Mars defense grid is online. But General, if they attack with full force, we will last perhaps 3 hours. Then we make those 3 hours count, Kang Hyejin said quietly. On Earth below, people watched the skies with fear. The Council ships were visible even without telescopes. Bright dots forming a cage around the sun. Children pointed at them. Adults tried not to cry. Park Min-ho worked in a bunker beneath Seoul, coordinating with military commanders across the planet. His screen showed defensive positions, supply lines, evacuation routes. Everything they might need if the Council decided to attack. How long can we last? President Choi asked. The leader had moved to the bunker as well. If the Council struck, the government needed to survive. Food? 2 years, maybe a bit more. Energy? We can sustain ourselves with solar and fusion reactors. Water is not a problem. Medicine will be the first shortage. We depend on materials from Council space for many advanced pharmaceuticals. What about the colonies? Minho's face darkened. Mars can last as long as Earth. But the settlements on Titan and Europa are in trouble. They need regular supply shipments. Without them, they have 6 months.
Maybe 8. Can we break the blockade to reach them?
We can try, but every ship we send might be destroyed. Lee Yuna entered the bunker carrying data tablets. I have something. The Council is not united on this blockade. I have been monitoring their communications. At least 30 species voted against it. They were overruled, but they are not happy. Can we use that? President Choi asked. Maybe, if we can talk to them. Show them we are not the monsters the Council leadership claims we are. The Council has jammed all our long-range communications, Minho said. Yuna smiled slightly. Official communications, yes. But there are other ways to talk. Before the blockade, I made contact with a junior diplomat from the Avian Collective. His name is Rethkal. He has been sending me messages through channels the Council does not monitor. Can we trust him? President Choi asked. I do not know, but he is our only contact outside the blockade right now. Up in orbit, the first test came. A small human cargo ship tried to break through the blockade to reach Europa with medical supplies. Council ships intercepted it immediately. Captain Shin watched on his displays. They are hailing the cargo ship, ordering it to turn back. What does the cargo ship say? Kang Hyejin asked. They are refusing. They say they have human civilians who will die without these supplies. The Council ships powered up their weapons. Shin's hands tightened on his controls. General, if they fire on that cargo ship, we do nothing, Kang Hyejin said, though the words hurt. Not yet. We cannot start a war we cannot win. But the cargo ship captain had other ideas. He activated a distress signal and broadcast it on all frequencies. This is the Earth cargo vessel Hope. We carry medicine for dying children. The Galactic Council is preventing us from saving innocent lives. Let the galaxy see what their peace treaty truly means. The message was simple, but it was broadcast in every language. More importantly, ships from other species were close enough to intercept it. The Council ships hesitated. They could destroy the cargo ship easily, but now the galaxy was watching. After a long moment, they let the cargo ship pass. It was a small victory, but it mattered. The cargo ship reached Europa and delivered its supplies. More importantly, the story spread across the galaxy. The Council had blinked first, but the blockade remained. Weeks passed. Earth survived, but barely. Food rationing began. Factories worked day and night to produce what they could no longer import. Scientists raced to develop substitutes for critical materials. In her small apartment, Han Ji-woo watched the news and felt the weight of every hardship. This was her fault. She was the one who said no. She was the one who brought this suffering to her people. Dr. Yoon Ji-hee visited her one evening. "Stop blaming yourself," the scientist said. "You did the right thing." "Did I?" "Children are going hungry because of me. Children are growing up free because of you. There is a difference." Dr. Yoon pulled out her tablet. "I have been studying something interesting. The Council's response patterns. Look at this data." She showed graphs and charts that meant little to Ji-woo. "I do not understand. The Council is frustrated. They expected us to collapse immediately. They expected us to beg them to take us back. But we are not collapsing. We are adapting. And that scares them." "Why would that scare them?" "Because it exposes their lie. They claim species need them to survive. But here we are surviving. If we can do it, maybe other species can too." Indeed, messages from Rethkal suggested Dr. Yoon was right. "There are discussions in the Council," his latest message said. "Some species are asking questions. If humans can refuse the treaty and survive, why did we agree to it? Why did we surrender our freedom?" "Can you send messages to these species?" Yuna asked, dangerous. "If caught, I will be arrested." "But yes, what do you want to say?" Ji-woo thought carefully. "Tell them the truth. Tell them we are not trying to fight the Council. We just want to be ourselves. Tell them we believe every species has that right." The message went out through secret channels. It reached sympathetic ears on dozens of worlds. Then came the second test. 3 Council patrol ships detected a human mining vessel near the asteroid belt. Instead of just turning it back, they opened fire. The mining vessel was unarmed. It was destroyed in seconds. 23 humans died. Captain Shin watched it happen from his station. His hands trembled with rage. "General, we must respond." Kang Hee-jin's face was stone. "We will, but carefully." Park Min-ho, what are those Council ships doing now? On the surface, Min-ho tracked the patrol ships. They are celebrating, broadcasting their victory back to the Council. They are calling the mining vessel a military target. Were there any Council observer ships nearby? "Yes, 4 of them from different species." Kang Hee-jin smiled, but it was a cold smile. "Good, they saw what happened. They saw the Council murder unarmed civilians." Captain Shin prepared Drone Squadron 7, the new drones. "The ones Engineer Namsora designed?" "Yes. Let us show the Council that humans know how to bite back." Namsora was a young engineer who had been working in secret on new weapons. Earth's technology was inferior to the Council's, so she made it different instead. Unpredictable. Strange. Things the Council would not expect. Her drones were small, barely larger than a person. They looked harmless, but they carried warheads and advanced AI that could think and adapt. Captain Shin launched 50 drones toward the 3 Council patrol ships. The patrol ships detected them easily and prepared to shoot them down. But the drones did not attack directly. Instead, they scattered, moving in patterns that seemed random but were actually carefully calculated. The patrol ships fired their weapons, but the drones were too fast, too unpredictable. Then the drones attacked, not with missiles or energy weapons, but with electromagnetic pulses and computer viruses. They hacked into the patrol ship systems, causing them to malfunction. Weapons fired at each other. Shields dropped. Engines stuttered. The 3 Council ships were forced to retreat, damaged and humiliated. They had not been destroyed, but they had been beaten. The message was clear. Earth could fight back. The battle was broadcast across the galaxy by the observer ships. Rethkal sent a message immediately. "The Council leadership is in chaos. Some are demanding immediate invasion. Others are urging caution. They did not expect you to be able to fight at all. We cannot win a real war," Ji-woo replied through Yuna. "We know that, but maybe we can make them think twice about starting one." More weeks passed. The blockade continued, but Council ships kept their distance now. No more civilian vessels were attacked. The memory of those 50 drones defeating 3 patrol ships made them cautious. Earth's engineers worked tirelessly. Namsora became famous for her creative weapons. She designed mines that looked like asteroids, torpedoes that could hide in solar radiation, fighter craft so small they barely registered on sensors. "We cannot match their power," she explained in an interview, "so we will confuse them instead. We will make them afraid of what they do not see, what they do not expect." Captain Shin led training exercises with the new equipment. His crews learned to fight like guerrillas in space. Hit and run, hide and strike. Never fight fair because fair meant losing. On the command deck, General Kang Hee-jin watched and planned. She knew this was temporary. Eventually the Council would lose patience. Eventually they would attack in force, but every day Earth survived was a victory. The message that changed everything came 6 months into the blockade. It was not from the Council. It was not even intended for Earth. But Lee Yuna intercepted it anyway. She burst into the command center where Han Jiwoo was reviewing supply reports. "You need to see this now." Jiwoo followed her to a private room. Park Minho and Dr. Yoon Ji-hye were already there, faces pale with shock. "What is it?" Jiwoo asked. Yuna played the message. It was from Rethkal, but his voice was panicked, rushed. "I am burning all my bridges by sending this. The Council is meeting in secret. Not all members, just the 12 founders. They are planning something. Planning what?" Jiwoo asked the recording. As if answering her, Rethkal continued. "I accessed restricted files. I had to bribe 3 officials and risk my life, but I found something. The Eternal Accord, the treaty you refused, it was not created for peace. It was created for control." The recording paused. When Rethkal spoke again, his voice shook. 10,000 years ago, the 12 founder species were not the most powerful in the galaxy. They were not even the most advanced. But they were the most ruthless. Another species, the Velrin, offered them a treaty of cooperation. A real treaty, one that respected sovereignty and freedom. The 12 rejected it. They saw the treaty as a threat to their ambitions. Dr. Yoon leaned forward, completely focused. The 12 waged war on the Velrin and anyone who supported them. It took 500 years, but they won. Then they created the Eternal Accord, but it was not the treaty the Velrin had offered. It was a treaty designed to prevent any species from ever challenging them again. Every clause about resource sharing, population control, genetic optimization, it is all designed to keep member species weak and dependent. Jiwoo felt cold. How many species know this? Almost none. The 12 have kept it secret for 10 millennia. Only the highest level officials know the truth, and they are all loyal to the founders. Rethikal's voice dropped to a whisper. "But I am sending you the files. All of them. Proof of what the Eternal Accord really is. If you can spread this information, if other species can see it, everything changes." The recording ended. A data packet appeared on the screen, encrypted and massive. "Can we verify this?" Minho asked. Dr. Yoon was already working. Her fingers flew across her tablet. "The encryption is legitimate Council military grade. The data structure matches what I would expect from official archives. If this is a fake, it is an incredibly sophisticated one. Why would Rethkal risk everything to send this to us?" Jiwoo wondered. "Because you inspired him," Yuna said quietly. "Because you showed him that it is possible to say no." They worked through the night, decrypting and analyzing the files. Everything Rethkal had said was true. Documents 10,000 years old detailed the founders' plan. Military records showed species that had resisted the treaty being destroyed. Economic data proved that resources were redistributed to benefit the founders while keeping other species dependent. But the most damning evidence was a communication between the 12 founders from just 3 months ago. They discussed the human problem directly. "Humanity must be made an example," one founder wrote. "If we allow them to refuse the treaty and survive, others will follow. We must show the galaxy what happens to those who defy us." Another founder replied, "But if we destroy them outright, we risk appearing tyrannical. Better to make them suffer slowly. The blockade will break them, and when they finally beg to sign the treaty, it will reinforce our message. Resistance is futile." Jiwoo read the messages with growing anger. They never intended to let us be free. Even if we had signed the treaty, they would have destroyed us eventually. We would just be doing it more slowly. "What do we do with this information?" Minho asked. "We share it," Jiwoo said immediately. "With everyone. Every species in the galaxy needs to see what the Council really is. The Council will call it propaganda," Dr. Yoon warned. "They will say we fabricated it. Then we need someone credible to verify it. Someone the galaxy will believe." Yuna smiled. "I know someone. Ambassador Rethkal just defected. If he comes forward publicly, confirms the documents, shares how he obtained them, it will be much harder for the Council to deny." They contacted Rethkal through the secret channels. His response came quickly. "I am already being hunted." Council security knows I accessed restricted files. I cannot return home, but if you can get me to Earth, I will tell the galaxy everything. I will stand with humanity. Getting him to Earth through the blockade seemed impossible, but Captain Shin Junho had an idea. We have been running supplies to Europa through the blockade using small, stealthy ships, he explained to General Kang Hyejin. They are not invisible, but they are very hard to detect. If Rethakal can get to a location near the blockade, we can extract him. The risk is enormous, the general said. Everything we do now is enormous risk, Shin replied. The mission launched 3 days later. Shin personally piloted the stealth ship, along with a small crew. They slipped through the blockade under cover of a meteor shower, using the debris to mask their signature. Rethkal was waiting at the rendezvous point in a tiny escape pod, barely large enough for one. Shin brought him aboard and immediately turned back toward Earth. But Council sensors detected them on the return trip. 4 patrol ships moved to intercept. They are hailing us, Shin's co-pilot reported, ordering us to stop and prepare to be boarded. Shin checked their position. They were close to Earth, but not close enough. If the patrol ships caught them, Rethkal would be captured and likely executed. Hold on, Shin said. He pushed the engines to maximum, racing toward Earth's defensive perimeter. The patrol ships opened fire. Energy bolts streaked past the stealth ship. One clipped their rear shield, sending alarms screaming. Shield at 60%, the co-pilot called out. Another hit. Then another. The patrol ships were faster and had longer range weapons. This was not a fight they could win. Then General Kang Hyejin's voice came over the comm. Captain Shin, you have crossed into Earth's defensive zone. We have you covered. Evasive maneuver Delta 7 now. Shin threw the ship into a desperate spiral. At the same moment, Earth's orbital defense platforms opened fire. Missiles and energy beams crossed the space between Earth and the patrol ships in seconds. The Council ships had to break off their attack to defend themselves. In that moment of confusion, Shin's ship raced past them and into Earth's protective embrace. They landed at the lunar base, where security teams rushed Rethkal to safety. The alien was tall and covered in white feathers, with large golden eyes that showed both fear and determination. Thank you, he said to Shin. You risked your life for me. You risked yours for us first, Shin replied. That makes us even. Rethakal was brought to Earth to the bunker where the government had gathered. He stood before President Choi, Han Ji-woo, and the other leaders. I am ready to tell the galaxy the truth, he said. They prepared carefully. Dr. Yoon verified every document. Yoon set up communication channels that would broadcast to as many species as possible. Ji-woo worked with Rethkal to prepare his statement. They will call you a traitor, she warned him. I am a traitor to tyranny, Rethkal said. That is a title I will wear proudly. The broadcast went out on every channel Earth could access. It was jammed in Council space, but friendly species recorded it and spread it further. Within hours, billions across the galaxy were watching. Rethkal stood before the cameras and told his story. How he had discovered the truth about the Eternal Accord. How the 12 founders had built their empire on lies and control. How humanity's refusal had exposed the system for what it really was. Then he released the documents, all of them. 10,000 years of proof that the Council was not a democracy but an oligarchy, not a protector but a prison. The galaxy erupted. 23 species immediately announced they were suspending their Council membership pending investigation. Protests broke out on 100 worlds. Young people from dozens of civilizations rallied in support of Earth, holding signs that read, "Freedom for all species," and "We are all human now." But not everyone was happy. The 12 founders and their closest allies denounced Rethkal as a criminal, and the documents as forgeries. Elder Koram, one of the most powerful founders, gave a speech demanding Earth's immediate surrender. Humanity has corrupted one of our own, Koram said, his ancient voice full of rage. They have spread lies and discord. They threaten the peace we have maintained for 3,000 years. This cannot stand. We call for a vote. The Council must decide, do we allow this rebellion to continue or do we end it? The vote came 3 days later. Out of 847 member species, 600 voted with uncertainty or abstained. 158 voted to support military action against Earth. 89 voted against. The abstentions meant the hardliners did not have enough support for a sanctioned invasion. But Elder Koram did not need sanctions. Those who stand with the founders will act, he declared. We will assemble a fleet and we will end the human threat. Any species that opposes us will face the same fate. 158 species began gathering their warships. The largest invasion fleet in galactic history started forming beyond the blockade. In the bunker on Earth, the leaders gathered to face the reality. President Choi had aged visibly in the past months. The invasion fleet arrived exactly when General Kang Hyejin predicted. 500 ships emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. They were massive, ancient, powerful. Each one carried enough firepower to destroy a city. Captain Shin Junho watched them appear on his displays. His small fighter was one of 200 human ships positioned between Earth and the invaders. Behind him, the Free Stars Alliance had mustered 350 ships. It was more support than anyone had expected, but still not enough. All ships, this is General Kang. The command channel crackled. Remember your training. We are not trying to win. We are trying to make them reconsider. Every shot counts. Every second matters. Make them remember that they attacked Earth. Shin tightened his grip on the controls. Beside him flew Lieutenant Kwan Soman, a young pilot who had only finished training 3 months ago. She looked scared but determined. Stay close to me, Shin told her. Follow my lead and you will be fine. And if I am not fine? She asked. Then you will die free, Shin said. That is more than most beings in this galaxy can say. The invasion fleet began moving forward. Their commander, Elder Koram himself, broadcast on all frequencies. His voice was ancient and cold. Humans and traitors of the Free Stars Alliance, you have one final chance to surrender. Lay down your weapons and submit to council authority. We will be merciful to those who comply. President Choi Dae-sung replied from Earth. His message was broadcast across the galaxy. Elder Koram, you are not invading to bring peace. You are invading to preserve your control. The entire galaxy now knows the truth about the Eternal Accord. They know what you did 10,000 years ago. They know what you have been doing ever since. This is not a war for peace. This is a war for freedom, and we will not surrender. The president paused, then added quietly, May history judge us both fairly. Elder Koram's response was to order the attack. The invasion fleet opened fire. Energy beams and missiles crossed the vast distance. Earth's defensive platforms and the Free Stars Alliance ships returned fire. Space lit up with explosions. Captain Shin dove his fighter into the chaos. The strategy was clear. The human ships were smaller and faster than the enemy. They could not win a direct fight, but they could harass, distract, confuse. He targeted the engines of a large council battleship, firing missiles that Nam Sora's engineers had designed. They did not just explode. They released electromagnetic pulses that scrambled systems and planted viruses in computer cores. The battleship's shields flickered. Its weapons fired randomly for a moment, hitting 2 of its own escort ships by accident. It works, someone shouted over the comm. Keep moving, Shin ordered. Never stay still. Never give them an easy target. All around them, the battle raged. A Free Stars Alliance cruiser exploded, taking its crew of 300 with it. A council destroyer was split in half by concentrated fire from Earth's orbital platforms. Ships died on both sides, each death measured in hundreds or thousands of lives. On Earth, billions watched through video feeds from the battle. Children huddled with their parents. Old people remembered wars they had survived on the planet below. Everyone wondered if they would see tomorrow. Han Ji-woo stood in the command center with Lee Yuna and Park Min-ho, watching the displays that showed the battle. Every time a human ship vanished from the screen, she felt it like a knife to her heart. This is my fault, she whispered. No, a voice said behind her. Rethikal stepped forward, his white feathers ruffled with stress. This is the Founders' fault. They created a system built on fear and control. You simply refuse to accept it. If anyone should feel guilty, it is people like me who accepted the lie for so long. Dr. Yoon Ji-hee rushed into the command center. I have something. I finished analyzing the old documents Rethkal provided. There is something we missed, something buried deep in the files. She threw data onto the main display. 10,000 years ago, when the 12 founders defeated the Velrin, they did not destroy them completely. They could not. The Velrin had created a failsafe, a message that would activate if they were ever wiped out. It contained proof of the founders' crimes, meant to warn future generations. Where is this message? Minho asked. That is the thing. It was never sent. The founders captured it before it could activate, but they did not destroy it either. They kept it encrypted and hidden as insurance. If any of the 12 ever turned against the others, they could use it as leverage. Jiwoo understood immediately. The message still exists. Somewhere in council space. Not just somewhere, Dr. Yoon said excitedly. I traced the encryption signature. The message is stored in the council's central archive. The same archive where Rethkal found the other documents. But it is protected by security that makes everything else look simple. Can we access it? Yuna asked, not remotely. Someone would need to physically break into the archive, and it is located in the heart of council space on the founder's home station. The room went quiet. The idea was insane. The battle outside was already hopeless. Sending someone deep into enemy territory on a suicide mission was beyond desperate. But Jiwoo looked at the displays showing the dying ships and made a decision. If we release that message, if the galaxy sees the Velrun's original warning, it could turn this war around. The neutral species might join us. Some of the Council's own fleet might refuse to fight. It is a one-way mission, Minho said bluntly. Whoever goes will not come back. Then we need volunteers who understand the stakes, Jiwoo said. She turned to Rethkal. Do you know anyone in Council space who might help? Rethkal thought for a moment. Yes. There is a small group of operatives who have been working in secret to undermine the founders. They are called the Hidden Wing. If anyone can break into the central archive, they can. But we need to contact them, and we need to do it during a battle when all attention is focused elsewhere. Now, Jiwoo said. We contact them now. Yuna worked her communication magic. Within minutes, she had established a connection to the Hidden Wing. They agreed to attempt the mission, but they needed one thing. A distraction big enough to pull security away from the archive. Up in space, Captain Shin received new orders from General Kang. All human ships, we are changing tactics. We are going to strike at the invasion fleet's command ship. Full assault, everything we have. We need to make them think we are trying to assassinate Elder Korim. Shin understood immediately. It was a suicide mission, but it would draw every council ship to defend their leader. It was the distraction the Hidden Wing needed. You heard the general, Shin told his squadron. We are going straight at their biggest ship. Follow me in. Lieutenant Kwan Soman's voice was shaky. Captain, that is suicide. Yes, Shin said calmly. But it is suicide with purpose. Someone tell my family I loved them. 200 human ships turned as one and raced toward the command ship. It was enormous, 10 times the size of any ship Earth had ever built. Its shields could withstand incredible punishment. Its weapons could destroy fleets, but the human ships did not care about surviving. They cared about reaching it. They flew through walls of fire. Ships exploded left and right. Shin saw Lieutenant Kwan's ship take a direct hit and vanish in a flash of light. He kept flying. Half his squadron was gone. Then 3/4. Then 90%. Shin's ship was damaged, leaking air, engines failing. But he was close now. So close. He armed every weapon he had left and locked onto the command ship's bridge. For Earth, he whispered. For freedom. His ship slammed into the command ship's shields at full speed. The explosion was massive, bright enough to be seen from Earth's surface. Captain Shin Junho died instantly. But his sacrifice and the sacrifice of 200 human pilots had achieved its purpose. Every council ship rushed to defend their commander. Security forces abandoned their posts across council space. And in the central archive, the Hidden Wing made their move. They were 7 operatives from 5 different species, all of whom had lost faith in the council. They fought through the archive's defenses, paid for every meter with blood and sacrifice. 4 died getting to the vault, 2 died getting it open. The last one, a young being named Naresh who had been inspired by Earth's resistance, downloaded the Velrun message and broadcast it before council forces killed her. The message spread across the galaxy in seconds. It was impossible to stop, encrypted to replicate and transmit automatically. Within minutes, every species in the galaxy had received it. The message showed everything. The Velrun's peaceful society before the founders attacked them, the unprovoked war that destroyed them, the creation of the Eternal Accord specifically to prevent other species from achieving the freedom the Velrun had represented. Proof of every crime, every manipulation, every lie the founders had told for 10,000 years. But more than that, it showed the Velrun's final plea. To whoever finds this message, do not make our mistake. We trusted that peace would be enough. We believed that reason would prevail. We were wrong. Freedom must be defended always. Remember us. Remember that we chose to die free rather than live as slaves. The effect was immediate. The battle in Earth's solar system stopped as ships on both sides received the message and watched it. Then, one by one, Council ships began withdrawing from the battle. Commanders refused orders. Crews mutinied.